Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. And today we are going to do it. Today we have another pregame video to get to. We have a game a little more than 24 hours away. The Seattle Seahawks hosting the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Another nationally televised game. Another opportunity for the team to show the whole country how good we are. So, what can we say about this game against the Vikings? Well, first of all, I can safely say that the Wednesday injury reports for this Seahawks team are quickly becoming clickbait because every week we have half the team on the injury report and we're all freaking out, and then by the time Saturday rolls around, we find out, oh, pretty much everybody's okay. So this week's injury report on Wednesday was ugly. We had a lot of players on there that we did not want to see on there. We were concerned, but by the time the actual game report came out, it was pretty clean. So I'm going to give my reading of the injury report plus what people are saying about it. So my best guess is this: Jamal Adams will not play. We know that. We know he's a week away. We know he's going to get back after the bye, though. Lano Hill probably not going to play. Jordan Brooks and Carlos Hyde might play. It seems like they can play, but the coach and the team is clearly tempted to keep those guys on ice for another week because we're about to hit the bye and we want to get them back full strength against the Cardinals after the bye week. So my sense is that they could play if we need them, but they probably won't. And Mike Upati and Quentin Dunbar are very likely to play. So that's my read. So after all that drama of seeing, Bobby Wagner, Dwayne Brown, Benson Mayowa, Shaquille Griffin, all these names on the injury report, that's really all we're dealing with. I can't complain about that. Vikings injury report looked pretty clean by the end of the week as well. It looks like they're going to have everybody important outside of the guys we knew they weren't going to have, like Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr's on IR. We knew that from a week ago. We know he's not going to play. So it looks like both teams are going to be pretty close to full strength. So that's nice, I suppose. And this Vikings team, to speak broadly, I'll say this. When we went into that game last week against the Dolphins, I felt pretty good. But I had my guard up a little bit. I was like, oh, I don't know about this one, man. This kind of feels like a trap game to me. I'm a little scared of Fitzpatrick. I'm scared of the weather. I'm scared of that Dolphins offense making some plays on our defense. We're missing a couple guys. I smelled the trap game coming against the Dolphins, but going into this game against the Vikings, I'm not feeling it. So if this ends up being the trap game and we end up losing this game, then I was off by 1 week. I'll put that on the record right now. This does not feel like a trap game to me. This just doesn't feel like the kind of game the Seahawks will lose. This feels like the kind of game where it could be close. I don't think the Vikings are as bad as their record necessarily. They're 1-3. Their offense has played pretty well. Their defense has played pretty bad, but they've also played really good teams for the most part. They finally got a win last week against a miserable Texans team, I'll grant you that, but they've been losing to good teams. They lost to the Packers. They lost to the Titans. They lost to the Colts. These are good football teams that they're losing to. So they may not be as bad as their 1-3 record, but I think what it is for me is there's something so conventional about this Vikings team. They don't have that X factor that makes me go, oh, they might be able to do some things against us that can't necessarily be accounted for. Like when we play the Redskins later this year, that's not a good team, but they're going to be a team that kind of makes me concerned because their defensive line is so good. What if their defensive line just goes out and wins the game for them? Later this year, we're going to be playing a team like the Cardinals, and I don't know if the Cardinals are a bad team. They look like an average team right now. If they are indeed a bad team, that's the kind of game that kind of makes me nervous because Kyler Murray's a huge X factor. He might run for 150 yards, and that alone could lift them over the top. But there's something so conventional about this Vikings team, I just can't see them that way. They're not bad. I'm not here to say they're bad. Kirk Cousins has been pretty underwhelming so far this year, honestly. His offensive line is not playing very well in pass protection. He's not a terrible quarterback this year, but when you look at the weapons that he has, you should see something better than 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He's turning the ball over way too much for a guy with pretty decent weapons. We all know about Adam Thielen, very solid receiver. Justin Jefferson has been one of the best rookies in the league through 4 games, right up there with CeeDee Lamb as far as receivers go. Jefferson's absolutely been killing it. He's actually not that far off from DK Metcalf numbers through 4 games. So they have those two really nice receivers in Thielen and Jefferson. And the focal point of their offense, of course, is Dalvin Cook, who is having an incredible year. He's got over 100 yards a game on a team that is usually playing from behind because their defense is so bad. However, there's just something about this. There's just something about the way this team is set up that just feels very conventional. They have a conventional drop back quarterback, and not a quarterback who's going to take off and scramble for big gains and pick up cheap third downs that way. They have two really good receivers, and I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but there's something just very typical. And I'm not saying Dalvin Cook is typical, but I also would say this. The Vikings, through 4 games, have run the ball more than any other team in the league. They have the most run-happy offense in the NFL if you look at the game situations that they faced. If you adjust for game situations, they are the most run-happy team in football. And I don't think that's a recipe for big success in the current NFL. I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, with the way the league is headed, if you want to be a successful team, you need to be able to air the ball out with great frequency. And when I look at a team like the Vikings, that they're running the ball well. They're running the ball for over 150 yards a game, I think. But to me, there is something non-threatening about a team that runs the ball a lot, even if they're doing it well. Now, that's not just because the Seahawks have been really good against the run so far this year, because we've been great in run defense through 4 games. And this game against the Vikings is the biggest test so far of that. If we can stop Dalvin Cook, if we can take him out of this game, then that will be a huge kick in the right direction for giving this run defense some credibility, because right now a lot of people think the only reason why this run defense looks good is because teams aren't running the ball against us and we haven't played a great rushing team. Well, if we take out Dalvin Cook and limit him to not having a huge game, then that's going to do a lot for that. So I know the Vikings are going to put up some points. The Vikings offense has been one of the, slightly better than average offenses so far this year in terms of scoring points. They've managed to produce in every game they played this year except against the Colts, and the Colts might have the best defense in football right now. So, yeah, that offense, I'm going to give them some credit for points. I also think we're going to get some turnovers too, because Cousins has been under pressure a lot so far this year, and he's turned it over a decent amount. And when you look at how much the Vikings run the ball compared to the average team, he's really turning it over at a very high clip. So I'm looking at this secondary. I'm looking at these linebackers saying it's time to bring some of these picks down. We're going to get some opportunities to get them. So I think the turnovers can make all the difference in a game like this. But now let's move to the Vikings defense. And this is really the reason why I feel good about this game, why I'm not feeling trap game. This Vikings defense through 4 games has been very bad. And they have played good teams, although they haven't exactly played all good offenses. The Houston offense and the Colts offense have both been pretty abysmal so far this year, and they had decent production. So, with the way this offense is playing, and by the way, I have heard the weather on Sunday could be a little rough, which is not great. If it's raining, which it sounds like it could be on Sunday, that could be a problem for this offense. I have said many times that I don't trust this offense a lot when it gets to a bad weather game. But short of that, the only thing I can say about this Vikings defense right now is Eric Kendricks is good. Eric Kendricks is a good linebacker, and they are going to have him. So he's going to be out there on Sunday. He didn't practice a lot this week, but he's going to go. And Yannick Ngakoue and Efenadi Odinigbo are good defensive ends. Both those guys are getting to the quarterback. They're getting pressures. Ngakoue already has 4 sacks. And Odinigbo isn't putting up big numbers yet, but I think he's been productive in the pass rush, kind of like LJ Collier is for us through 4 games. But other than that, I don't really see much going on. Harrison Smith is still a pretty good safety, although he's 31 now. I feel like he hasn't been the same since he was at the top of the league. I mean, Harrison Smith at one point in time was considered maybe the best safety in the league. He's made 5 straight Pro Bowls, and he made an All-Pro team in there. Feels like he's starting to slip a little bit, but other than that, I don't see a lot going on with this Vikings defense. Even though they have those 2 good ends, their pass rush has been really bad so far this year. They're only generating pressure on 19% of opposing dropbacks, which is one of the worst totals in the league, which is actually a decent amount worse than us. So the Vikings are actually generating pressure at a lower rate than the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are not really doing a good job of generating pressure. They are getting Mike Hughes back at corner, which should help, but their corners have mostly been really bad this year. This is a great game for Lockett and / or Metcalf to go off for a 160, 170 yard game potentially. And the middle of their defense has looked pretty soft through 4 games as well. So I think we'll be able to run the ball on them with Carson, and it looks like it might be DJ Dallas. So to me, this defense is how we get ahead in this game. I'm going to give the Vikings at least 24 points in this game, but this Seahawks offense, as long as we don't get tripped up by the weather, should be good for at least 35 to 40 points. If we don't get there, I'm going to be a little disappointed because this seems like the kind of defense that the Seahawks should be able to feast on. We have great receivers to attack their weak corners, and we have a quality running game to attack the weak interior of that defense. So that's what I got for this one, guys. Let's go to 5-0. Let's get to 5-0. We've never done it before. Let's try to pile it on to start this season. Let's see if we can get off to a big 7-0, 8-0 start maybe, and really start this train moving in the right direction. I think we can do it for this week. I feel good about this one. The weather has concerned me a little bit, but it hasn't actually scared me yet, so I'm not there yet. I'm not taking this game for granted, but this is just something that I feel pretty good about. This, to me, was not the trap game. So come Sunday night, if this is the trap game and we drop this one to the Vikings, then know that somewhere I am admitting that I was off by a week. All right, peace out, go Hawks. See you guys in stream later today. Yeah, that's what I got. I'm feeling good. 5-0. Let's get to 5-0. Let's put the Vikings away for 2020 and onward and upward.